What's going on, guys? Thank y'all for watching my video today. Now, the NFL season is well past its halfway point, and at this point in the season, coming into week 13, the playoff picture, well, it's starting to take shape somewhat. In the NFC, you can start to kind of tell which teams are going to make the playoffs out there, but the AFC, in my opinion, is still very wide open who's going to wind up getting in, who's not. So, today I just wanted to go through each conference, each division, take a look at the standings, take a look at the playoff picture as it stands right now, just giving my overall thoughts. So starting out with the AFC. Now, if the season ended today, right now the Patriots, Chiefs, Ravens, and Titans would currently be the division winners, and the three wildcard teams, if I'm not mistaken, would be the Bengals, Bills, and I suppose the Chargers would somehow still be the seventh seed, despite a rather ugly loss to Denver this week. Now, going through each of these divisions, when I look at the AFC East, Bills and Patriots got a major Monday Night Football game this coming week, and the winner of that, I would assume, will take the division. I am very much in the camp that the Patriots, who have won 6 straight games at this point, they started 2-4, looked pretty good, but since then they've really built upon the team and have gone on a great win streak. I think they're the best team in that division. I think they're nothing to take away from the Bills. They're a very good team as well, but they've been very inconsistent. A lot of ugly losses or games that are closer than you thought they would. They did get a huge win over the Saints last week, as they should have on Thanksgiving. But to me, the Patriots are the better team. I was a big fan of their defense coming into the year. I thought that was going to be enough to help them contend for the playoffs. But the fact that their offense is good as it is, the fact that Ramondre Stevenson and Damian Harris are as good of a duo as they are, the fact that Mac Jones has, a lot of people thought he was maybe the quarterback that was a bit of a reach to take in the first round, but he's proven to be the best rookie quarterback thus far. But I guess that's what happens when Bill Belichick is your coach. But to me, the Patriots are the best team in that division, but the Bills should certainly make the playoffs as well. It'll be interesting to see where those two teams go. Elsewhere, Dolphins on a 4-game win streak. Now, when you look at the race for the final playoff seed, the Dolphins are certainly in the race. They're up to 5-7 now. Now they're going to have to win out pretty much if they really want to secure that. But maybe 8 or 9 wins in this really bloated, competitive AFC conference could get the job done for them. They do owe the Eagles their first round draft pick, so maybe winning some more games like they have been is the best for them. They have beaten relatively bad teams, but they also did beat the Baltimore Ravens. So I'm still not totally sold, but maybe they can make a late season rally and compete. The Jets, 3-8. They play the Eagles this week. They should look to. The Eagles should look to be beating the Jets this week. I'll get into the Eagles in a bit when I get over to the NFC, but the Jets should likely pick in the top 5 of the draft again. They won't be taking a quarterback, I assume, so it'll be interesting to see what they do this coming spring. But as for this season, they're pretty much wrapped up. They won't be making the playoffs. The AFC North, very competitive division right now. The Ravens somehow, I think the Ravens are the first seed in the entire AFC right now, which blows my mind because I'm not a big fan of this Ravens team. It's just they don't have the talent they need. All their running backs got hurt before the season. They're working with scrap heap guys, veterans that haven't done much in a few years. Their defense, while solid, doesn't have as many playmakers with Marcus Peters being out, losing some guys to free agency after last season. And I do think the Bengals really have a shot if they can take down the Ravens later in the season in the second game. I believe they already beat them earlier in the year. I do think the Bengals might have the best team. They have a really dynamic offense. The defense is much improved. And while I don't know if the Bengals, because they've been inconsistent as well, are necessarily Super Bowl contenders, I do think they could make a run at this division and make a run in the playoffs, which maybe this is the year the Bengals finally win a playoff game after almost it might be 30 years at this point. If it's not, it's very close. But the Bengals, their fans would love to have a nice team make a playoff run here. Rest of the division, Steelers 5-5-1. They had their comical tie with the Detroit Lions. They looked solid against the Chargers 2 weeks ago, but they lost in embarrassing fashion to the Browns this week. The Bengals this week. As for the Browns, a lot of injuries to this team this year. A bit disappointing overall. I actually power ranked them as the number 1 team in the NFL coming in the year. I had them making the Super Bowl, but at this point, doesn't look like that's going to happen for the Browns. But they're certainly not a bad team. I think they're just a bit banged up, and maybe next year they make a return to prominence. But I don't see the Browns or Steelers making the playoffs. As for the AFC West, the Chiefs, I guess, have the hold on the division at this point. I'm still unconvinced this is the same Chiefs team as years past, That defense is going to have to prove it more than just that one game against Dallas a few weeks back. They had a bye this week, so we didn't really get any more information to judge them. So we'll have to see how they do next week. But as for this rest of this division, the Chargers I was really high on all year coming in the year. They've disappointed, especially this week with their loss to Denver, who always seems to beat them. Denver's always had the Chargers' number. Even after Peyton Manning's departure, they've still found ways to beat the Chargers over the years. And the Raiders, who knows? I mean, I thought the Raiders were packing it in after all the ridiculous nonsense that's going on with their team this year. A lot of different guys getting suspended, having personal issues off the field. But then they had a huge win on Thanksgiving over Dallas. So Raiders are certainly still in the race for the wild card. I don't think they'll win the division. I think the Chiefs hold on in this division. And then the AFC South, Titans are currently the top team in this division. I do believe that the Colts will pass them. They're 6-6 because they lost a close one to Tampa this week. Unfortunately for the Colts, the issue is that the Titans already swept them in the season series because both of their games happened within the first 7 weeks, I believe. So the Titans have the tiebreaker, but I just don't think this Titans team, they have no skill guys. And if A.J. Brown's going to miss a lot of time, you're working with Dontrell Hilliard, Nick Westbrook-Ikhine, Chester Rogers. Like, these are guys that the casual fan is not even remotely on their radar. They barely were on my radar until this year. So, honestly, I don't know if the Titans can win a lot more games this year. I think they'll certainly make the playoffs, but I'm going to go ahead and pick the Colts to actually win this division. I think they're going to have a really strong end of the season. I've liked what I've seen from their team. Texans and Jaguars, all I'll say about those two teams, Texans, I actually am a fan of what they did this year. They knew they had no assets. They kind of just signed a bunch of veterans, hope for the best, really, just Tyrod Taylor, Brandon Cooks, a bunch of running backs. Well, they got rid of Mark Ingram, but they've had a bunch of veteran running backs this year. They're kind of just like, let's see what we got. It's better than the panic trade and give up our assets to try and improve a team that wasn't going anywhere. And the Jags, I'm very disappointed in everything they've done for the most part this year. Thought they'd be a lot more competitive. Trevor Lawrence has certainly not looked like the generational talent he was supposed to be. And I get, they say, Peyton Manning had 28 interceptions as a rookie, but he also had 26 touchdowns. And the Colts also weren't one of the worst teams in the NFL, if I'm not mistaken. This Jags, you could point to Urban Meyer as well being an issue, but overall, I'm just disappointed in how Jacksonville has handled pretty much everything they've done this season. So that being said, when I look at the AFC overall, if I had to make a prediction right now, I would say New England, Kansas City, Baltimore, New England, Kansas City, I'd say Cincinnati, and the Indianapolis Colts win the divisions, and I think the wild cards would go to Buffalo, Baltimore, and the Titans right now. I think those are 7 teams. I think teams like Miami, the Raiders will be looking on the outside of this playoff race. They'll probably fall out of the contention in the next few weeks as the season goes along. So really, out of those 7 teams, I think all those teams really have a shot to make the Super Bowl. I mean, when you look at the Patriots, just the Patriots doing Patriot stuff, make the Super Bowl. Bills, if they can get their stuff together, Josh Allen, we know that Bills' offense can look very deadly. Chiefs, I mean, Mahomes, Kelsey, Hill, maybe they'll get it together. I don't know. Ravens, I'd say, to me, honestly, I'm probably the least hopeful in a Ravens Super Bowl run, but maybe the defense steps up. Maybe Lamar gets favorable matchups, able to run all over them. Maybe the Ravens can finally break through the barrier, keeping them down. Bengals also find it hard to believe, but it would take Jamar Chase just shredding people all playoffs. Joe Mixon getting some momentum, getting on fire there. Defense stepping up, playing better than we expected. Titans, I think if Derrick Henry comes back for the playoffs, they have a real shot. Because this would be a Derrick Henry. Granted, he has a foot injury, but 2 months rest, maybe close to 3 months rest, he could come in and run over everybody. And honestly, same with Jonathan Taylor and the Colts. That defense is really good. That offensive line is one of the best in the league. And I mean, I'm sorry, Eagles fans, and I know most people watching this are Eagles fans, but could you just imagine Carson Wentz having a nice playoff run, or finally a proper playoff run this winter? I think it's very possible. But that's going to do it for the first half of this video. I went a little long here, so I'm going to cover the rest of the NFC in a second part of this Standings Watch. So thank you all for watching. Make sure to subscribe to the channel and stay tuned for the second part of my NFL Standings Watch.